So glad to be back with you. Let's make sure everything working the way it's supposed to. Oh, you cut that damn noise off. What is going on? Is that for real? uh, Let me check around. That echo is wild. And we haven't had to deal with an echo like that in a minute. Facebook been acting crazy, period. Let's see what the YouTube's doing. Do. Facebook been acting crazy, period. Let's see what the YouTube's doing. That seemed legit. Facebook been acting crazy, period. Let's see what the YouTube's doing. That seemed legit. Forgive me, family. I don't know what's going on. Let me make sure shit working the way it's supposed to. Boo doo boo. Let me cut off some of the. That's what it is. I got all these desktop sounds going. Ham sandwich. Let's see. Let's see something. When I does this, what happens? Alright, family, you know how it go. We works it out. We get it together. And alright, that did work. Okay, we're gonna leave that on that. Alright, family, you know how it go. We're gonna take that down. Works it out. Twitch sound effects. Alright, that sounds legit. We should be good. Nah, I don't know. Today was just a day. We need to make sure everything working the way it's supposed to. That's it. I don't know what's going on Facebook, but they'll be alright. Alright, here we go. Family, so glad to be back with you for another episode. Okay, hold on. Swami Live. I hope you've been having a fantastic week since the last time we were together. Hopefully you was here with us on Thursday for a book club, but if not, I hope you had a fantastic week since the last time we were together on Tuesday night. I really do look forward to continuing this discussion around connecting our drawing that connection from our generational curses to our generational blessings. So that should be exciting for us. That didn't work. Okay, so if you are new here, this is Swami Live, a place where we discuss all things healing And we use various forms to be able to have these discussions, whether it be through conversation, live energy readings, and you definitely can hit that link in the description and join the live and get your energy read. So don't forget to do that if you want to have, if you're trying to put some words to the dynamics that you are dealing with in your life. That energy reading is good for that. Um, You can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Instagram's been holding on tight, part of the family. I'm definitely hit or miss on TikTok because they ban me every time I go live on TikTok. So, but you're guaranteed to catch us on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. And if you haven't been on Twitch, go ahead and join that Twitch. Join Twitch and give me another follow. I appreciate that. I need that. Generally, at the beginning of every show, we do a little energy work. And this week, we are on our third eye. Third eye is essentially your intuition. It is good for your intuition, your vision, your perception, and astral projection. That's a form of time travel. But that's if you're one of those people who can remember things and they become so vividly, almost as if you're still sitting there, that means you have a powerful third eye. It becomes so real. You can hear the hit sound, smell the smells, all those things. That's a form of astral projection. The element for your intuition is light, which is beneficial because we do a little light therapy, hence the tint to the color of the lights. The color for your third eye is indigo. If you are into gemstones and crystals, labradorite is a good stone for your third eye. Amethyst, which I have around here everywhere. I say this every time too. Amethyst. This is red amethyst on the desk, so I love it still. But it's some purple amethyst too. And I got a bunch of purple amethyst all over. Purple fluorite is good, and sodalite is good. If you are into essential oils, you want to think of rosemary. You want to think of cedarwood. Patchouli is pretty good, and clary sage is pretty good for this. Give me 1 second. Well, not 1 second, family. We're gonna multitask. Doo-doo-doo. I need to make sure I share myself. Oh no, never mind. Boop boop boop. You're not doing that. All right, so as we do our energy work, we do with a little bit of sound. So it generally starts with a bowl. And today I also have my heart steel drum and a wave drum as well. So we'll do a little bit of that. So at this point, to be able to set the energy and the mood, just be able to relax and listen to the sound bowl. If you're in there viewing, say something in chat. I'll give you a shout out. Show me some love. I'll show you some too. And definitely don't forget to hit that follow, like, share, do all those good things. I got my big wager on. Normally I use the whole stack, but we've been doing something a little different, so. Next, we will do our breathing exercise. What thing we want to do? The element for your intuition is light. And we generally do a breathing exercise that is the sun moon healing, where we use a light to guide our healing. So I guess we'll do that since I'm talking about it. I guess that's what my spirit wants to do it. So for this breathing exercise, all you have to do is just simply imagine a circle of light that starts in your crown, right above your forehead, right where my hand is. And with every breath, we will bring that light down to a different energy point. And you will allow that light to do some healing, some cleansing, all of those good things to help you balance yourself. So make sure you focus on your breathing and visualize the light healing the areas that we stop in, right? So on the count of 3, we will start that. All you have to do is just focus in on your breathing, and I will keep the count for you. So on the count of 3, we will start right now. Let's start with that light sitting right above your forehead. The color for your intuition is indigo, so it can be an indigo light, but use any light that means anything to you, any color that means something to you, whether it be purple, white, orange, red, blue, any color that means something to you. On the count of 3, I want you to breathe in and bring that light down from your crown to your forehead intuition. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in deep. Bring that light down to your forehead, your intuition, your third eye. And release. Breathe in deep. Bring that light down to your throat, giving you the confidence to communicate your truths, Remove the worries of being misunderstood or unheard, and release. Breathe in deep. Bring that light down to your heart. Recognize that your heart is the most magnetic and powerful thing that you have. That light is giving you the confidence and the energy to be able to go out there and lead with your heart and love. And release. Breathe in deep. Bring that light down to your stomach or your solar plexus. This is the space for your emotions, your confidence, and you feel like it's giving you the confidence that you know. Let that light heal and cleanse your spirit and release. Breathe in deep. Bring that light down to your sacral, which is your emotional center, and it's giving you confidence that you have the ability to be able to manage your emotions, navigate your emotions, authentically identify and recognize your emotions, and release. Breathe in deep. Bring that light down to your root and allow it to let you feel connected to the universe and the things around you, connected to the spirit, the God, whatever, your ancestors, the plants, the earth, everything around you, you want to feel interconnected with, and release. Breathe in, bring that light up to your sacral, and release. Breathe in, bring that light up to your solar plexus, and release. Breathe in, bring that light up to your heart, and release. Breathe in, bring that light up to your throat, and release. Breathe in, bring that light up to your third eye, your intuition, and release. Breathe in, bring that light up to your crown, and release. And as you're sitting there, I want you to repeat these affirmations after me. I trust my intuition. My imagination is powerful. I think clearly. My third eye sees all. I trust my intuition. My imagination is powerful. I think clearly. And my third eye sees all. All right, family. We ready to get back into it. Again, I hope you had a fantastic week. Generally at this part of the show, we do a little conversations around just general conversation. And if you've been a part of the family for a minute, you are familiar with this homework assignment that we've done before. We did this exercise in an ability to provide an opportunity for us to be able to start setting the foundation for what we want our rich life to look like. How do we envision financial wealth to look for us? How do we expect our lives to look once we achieve this financial stability? So we did that for what do we want our rich life to look like? And we also did it for what do we want our love life to look like? But earlier I was going through a couple of my show ideas, and try to give me some ideas of what to talk about before we get into the topic. And the one thing that we didn't take the time to actually start writing down that we're going to start today is what do we want our our family life to look like. And that's hugely important for me because I think family is important. And as we are moving from recognizing our generational curses and seeing the blessing so we can move more alignment into the blessing, I think there is a space where we really need to define how we want our family dynamics to look for. The families that we create are the families that we already have, are the families that we are going to lead through this healing process for ourselves and for the future generations. So if you don't recall, what we do is, matter of fact, it's a perfect time for us to be doing with the intuition, because intuition is good for astral projection. So with this exercise, what I want you to do is take some time and imagine a family experience that you had that was actually good. One that you look back with nostalgia. One that made you feel like, hey, this is what family is supposed to be. One that created emotions, which in turn you told yourself feelings. The stories that you told yourself are good. It's one of those examples of eat the meat, spit out the bones. So think about a family experience that was great for you. When you get that family experience in your mind, I want you to start thinking about all the words that describe that experience for you. I know for myself, when I think of that family experience, it creates an energy of joy, laughter, content, had an experience of, you hope this lasts forever. Continued. Let me think. How else would I describe that experience? Connected. Connected was a good word. And for yourself, just take a little time and think about those words that you are writing down. Now, as you have that group of words for yourself, I want you to take a little time and think about which one of those words resonate most with your spirit, created some sort of feeling. If you can't even identify what the feeling was when you said the word, but think about the one word that resonates most with your spirit. And that one word will become the guiding light for your family design. And these other words that you wrote down as well will help solidify that guiding word. So for me, the word was contentment. And contentment has been an interesting word that has shown up a bunch in my life, especially when we started talking about the happiness paradox and how the people who chase happiness are the least happy people, right? And generally, when you hear people talking about what they want in their life, they always say they want to be happy. And once we recognize that happiness is fleeting, it's not supposed to stay all the time. So then what is an emotion that's supposed to last longer than happiness? For me, it's been contentment. And a lot of times we look down on content as a form of settling, or we apply these negative energies and negative perspectives to the idea of content. So then when we are at a space where we should feel content, we don't give ourselves permission to even feel content. We take contentment as a sign to mean that we need to do more, or we have not done enough. But for me, I know one thing that will be very valuable and very important in a family. Not that everybody is happy, but everybody is content. Content is the cousin to satisfaction, and satisfied lasts a whole lot longer than happiness, right? There is no satisfaction paradox. There is no content paradox. People who are content with their lives, content with their choices, content with the work they've done, they do experience the most happiness because in that spirit of contentment, you project an energy of happiness, satisfied to the universe. So you know what the universe gives you more? Things to be happy about and satisfied about. So for me, family, what I wanted to look like, the most important thing, the foundational word that will set up my family is contentment. And if you are here, put it in the chat. Let me know what word you think will fully define the foundation for your family. All right, content was fantastic. Let me make sure. What we talked about last week, family? Nope, wrong thing. All right, so now that we got the beginnings of how we want our family life to look, we can move back into our generational blessings, because I'm sure identifying these will also be beneficial in creating a family life that we would like to see, right? It's funny it's interesting how I didn't think of us doing that homework until now, but because I'm huge on family and family values and whatever that means to you. I'm not really in a space of assigning what those things mean, but let me see. So, listen, I'll be tripping. So, forgive me if you see me look behind me. But I have prayer plants. And I talk about these plants all the time. So, prayer plants, they're called prayer plants because they move all day long. And by nighttime, they are generally, when it gets late at night, all the leaves are generally up like prayer hands. So sometimes when I'm sitting in this room, generally I miss them moving. I just come and I see them. I'm like, okay, well, they move. But sometimes when I'm sitting in here, I hear them moving, which is a weird, it's just really, it's a weird experience too, to actually hear plants moving. So I find that funny. Yeah. They definitely are alive. There's no question about that. So week before last, not week before last, doesn't even matter. So far we have covered the emotional. We've identified the curses. We've identified which body they've affected. And then we've started identifying what the blessing is to that curse. Because again, and I'll say this repeatedly, we only feel it's a curse because the weight and responsibility of the blessings. And because we have focused so much on the weight and the responsibility, our vision has been trained to see the curse, and we've lost sight of the blessing. But one of the things we're doing here is making sure we change our focus from the weight and responsibility. We carry that weight and responsibility with confidence because we know moving in a space of our blessing is an authentic way for us to live. And honestly, it gives us the strength to be able to carry the responsibility that comes along with the generational blessings. Oh, shoot. I changed pages. Hey, did it do it? I hope so. All right, so we have covered, emotional, what you can see there, emotional suppression and all those things, and generational blessings, shame and guilt cycles, and fear and vulnerability. We safe and connected, and emotional trust, empowerment and personal responsibility, healing through mourning and remembrance. It's funny because I was trying to talk to somebody about that one yesterday. I started doing and reading, and they are dealing with grief, unresolved grief. And I told them one of the blessings is their gift is healing through mourning and remembrance. So allow themselves that space to be able to do that. That's a beautiful thing. Healthy boundaries and mutual respect, celebration of individuality and unity, presence, empathy, and emotional support. Right. So last week we talked about our physical generational curses, our poor eating habits. And one of the reasons why we recognize that food supports the life that we live. But because we focus so much on the burden and the responsibility, our nourishment has changed a little bit. But your gift is nutritional awareness and balanced meals. The things that you, from poor eating habits, the things you are very, very conscious of what you feed you affects your body. And you pick the things that are convenient. But your gift resides in your nutritional awareness and balanced meal. So your gift resides in the understanding of what you put in your body helps the output that your body gives. Lack of exercise is because you recognize that movement is important to you, and you've lost sight of the movement and the active lifestyle. And active lifestyle, again, doesn't necessarily mean just working out. It means being active participant in your own life. Stop saying things like, I'm protecting my peace, as justification for you not to participate. Substance abuse, your gift is sobriety and healthy coping mechanisms, avoidance of medical care. Your gifts are your wellness routines, the things that you do. I bet to this day you probably still use some of them home remedies that you heard from your grandma or your family passed down to you as a way to help with your wellness routines. You know what I mean? You focus on that. You deal with abuse, physical abuse. We already talked about emotional abuse. But your thing is to create physical safety and nurturing environments. I even spoke about how that's one of the reasons I got into education. I was one of those kids who got a lot of whippings. So when I got up, I wanted kids to be experience a physical safety where they understand that I'd never put my hands on them, and nurturing environments, and they'll know that they'll still be loved in spite of making mistakes, right? Your gift for your physicals, neglect and health is prioritizing self-care and health education. That means your gift is actually prioritizing yourself, doing things that help you feel good, that help you feel satisfied, that help you feel content, not just chasing the ever elusive happiness, but satisfaction can be just as valuable or even more valuable than happiness, right? So you're moving into all of these self-care ideas. And overwork and burnout, work-life balance, you really do value, and you get more out of your life if you move in a space that's work-life balance. Not working 14 jobs just so you can have that money, but recognizing you need to live a lifestyle that allows you to be an active participant in your life. I see people talk about that in dating all the time. And they were talking about if you're not going to have time to date, or these people like, if it's important, you make time. That is a guys again too, because you can't make the time you don't have. You feel me? Regardless on what you think. And it may work like that sometimes. There's only 24 hours in a day. And if you give up all your time, or you all dedicate all your time, where's your work-life balance? And how are you getting your restorative rest? The two things that are your gift. You enjoy people, you enjoy your life, you enjoy interacting with the things that make you feel happy and satisfied. So We did emotional. This week we are on our spiritual. Ooh, yeah, mental is long. That's a lot of mental. We are on our spiritual generational curses and blessings. Give me a little drink. Do 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 do. All right, family. Whew. Man, that cold water be hitting. Like I get when people want to mess with room temperature, but cold water? I'm sorry. So, we identified the curse or the burden or responsibility of our blessing as religious or cultural shame, right? And the blessing for that is spiritual freedom and acceptance. So that is doing things, your gift is to doing things to honor your spirit that are authentic to you, not limiting yourself just to the religious practices, but to the things that you learn, the experiences that you've had. Man, these plants is on fire. They putting on a whole concert behind me. I'm sorry, so forgive me again if I keep looking back. So, and that's not to say that you look down on religion. You understand that God said he be called many different names. So you see the value in how other people view their relationship with God, how other people view God, how other people experience God. And not only do you leave the space for that, but you are open enough to be able to experience these things. You understand that religion is not a way to separate the people, but it is a way to bring people together if we focus on our similarities. But that comes with a lot of weight and responsibility, having to accept these different points of view, having to experience them, having to learn them, having to critically think about them and see if they have some validity, although they may not be how you live your life. But you create a space for acceptance because now you've experienced it, you understand it, and you don't look at it as a way that is the wrong way. Because we've learned there are many different ways to get to this destination. And there is no wrong way as long as you get there, right? So recognizing that spiritual freedom is your gift, figuring out what that means to you. Specifically, how do you honor your spirit beyond religious practices? Because that's not the only way to honor your spirit. And that's a question you need to think about, because as you answer that question, you will find your spiritual freedom and your ability to accept the goodness of life, right? The next one is fear-based teachings. And I specifically put God punishes and you get your blessings in the afterlife. But your gift is love-based faith and grace. This one is very specific, very interesting to me, because coming up, I never understood this idea of fear-based teachings. I hear people say it all the time. I want a God-fearing. Even parents will say it, I want my children to have a little bit of fear. And that doesn't make sense, because if it's something that's supposed to give me freedom, it's something that's supposed to give me love, something that's supposed to be good to me, why would I fear it, right? And moving in a space of fear of your own Savior is not authentic to your gift. We don't believe that God punishes. We understand that our choices create the hell that we experience, because God is love. Life is love. God doesn't do these things. But us, with our free will, do these things. So we don't need to be afraid of the one that loves us. Because if we are afraid of our own Savior, our own freedom, then how are we going to be courageous enough to love in our own life? The blessing for that is love-based faith. Again, how we've talked about, the most magnetic thing that you have in your body is your heart, right? 50 times more magnetic than your brain, 50 times more magnetic, and a 5,000 times larger radius. It is better when you navigate your life with love base. Don't have people thinking that the only way that they can experience goodness in life is after they're gone. Because this is the only time in our experience that we get to actually see God in all his greatness. We get to eat the food, smell the air, touch the grass, interact with other creations that were made in his image. Love-based. And when people make these mistakes, we don't look to punish them. We find solutions and we apply our other gift of grace. Grace. So when we think about our relationship with God, we think about our relationship with the universe, we think about our relationship with ourselves. We want to have a love-based relationship and not one that was built on fear of what would be good for us. The next one we have is suppression of spiritual identity. And it's funny because one way that I see the suppression of spiritual identity is I ask a question too. My question is, in your spiritual journey, in your religion, in the way that you live your life, where do your ancestors, your specific bloodline, the people who paved the way for you, where do they fit into this paradigm? Right? How many of the things that your family has done to get you here that people would tell you now is demonic? What type of things are you afraid to be able to show? Are you so disconnected from your spirit because you've only tied it to religion? What do you do? How do you honor your spirit outside of religion? What does your spirit need? What is your spiritual identity? Who are you on a spiritual level? And again, don't say God-fearing, because your gift is in love. So your gift is authentic spiritual expression, right? And it's funny. Now, I'll give you a perfect example of this. One of the gifts that we talked about, emotional, was with unresolved grief. It is that healing through remembrance and mourning or whatever, right? So when I started this healing path or whatever, you meet a lot of people in the spiritual community that have altars. And it's funny because for me, I grew up in a family that created altars, although we didn't always call it an altar. And it's funny how now some people would say this. So I remember when my uncle passed, we set up, well, not even we, my mother set up this, on this table. It was just a table. She put a picture of my uncle and a couple of things on that table to remind us of how important he was to our lives, right? And for me and my family, altars have been a way to honor and remember the spirits that came before us. That was a way to allow us to express our gratitude for what they've done in our lives, to show thanks and move in a space of love for those who came before us. And I'm sure in your house you can think of the pictures on the wall. We always think of altars as this one little table or something like that, but there are multiple dynamics in how people honor and create these honor systems, these spiritual expressions. So when I started this, everybody was creating an altar. And it's funny because we're having this conversation. I may have to change my opinion on this, because what I just said is my family has always used altars to honor the people who came before them. So when we came to this, what felt authentic to me, everybody started creating an altar for their spirit, whatever identified their spirit, whatever made their spirit feel good. And I was always at the space where, like, I don't want to do that. That's just not authentic for my spiritual expression, right? But then, ironically, as I began to collect tools and learn more about energy dynamics, I did create a little table. I like to call it my workspace, probably because of my ideas and thoughts around the ideas of altar. Well, I got some sand timers, I got my stones, I don't got my stones because stones are all over here, but I got some stones, I got my little clickers, I got some fidget spinners over there, I got my sage over there, I got my feathers, I got some fans, I got hoppe, I got all types of things over there, which by default, because for me collecting these things and putting them in a space that allows me to easily work with others was authentic spiritual expression. And as we have this conversation, what I recognize is all I did was just create an altar, a way to honor the work that I do and those that came before me, right? So that is, the next one is disconnect from ancestral traditions, which is fantastically connected to the last one, because how many of us have lost our ancestral traditions, right? So it's funny. I remember whenever somebody would get sick in our family, and a lot of people do this, right? We created hot toddy. Everybody has heard of a hot toddy. Not everybody, but many people have heard of a hot toddy as a way to get rid of sickness, to help you get that sickness out of you. That is connection to your ancestral traditions. One of the reasons I asked you in this question, within your religion or in your spiritual process, where do your ancestors fit into this? What do the things that they did to help them survive to get to you being here that you are no longer doing, right? How many of those things have you told yourself that you can't do because they are in conflict with something you learned that may not even be authentic to you? Have you been taught that the things that your family have done can be seen as wrong and negative or against God? So I brought up that hot toddy story. Is you think about it now, there was a point in time where that was the norm. I remember I'd fall, get a deep cut, my mom put some iodine on it, wrap it up. We ain't go to the hospital for nothing, because my mama had traditions and things that she could do at home to help connect it to our ancestral traditions. Where does she get this from? My homeboy was talking the other day, and this is the one thing that helped him feel great. He went to visit some land that his family owned, and he took dirt from that land. And one of the more powerful things that he did with that dirt was he gave some to his sister who likes to grow plants. So now when she grows some plants, she can mix in some of her ancestral land into her potting soil to honor and respect the heritage she came from. She come from a group of growers, people who have been growing for years. So it's no coincidence that she is a grower. And it will be amazing to see how those plants will now grow with pieces of the land that her family has tilled for years, right? How do you connect to your heritage, right? One of the reasons I will not change my name, regardless on what everybody says, it is one way that I connect to my heritage, because my family passed to have this name. What makes my family special to give this name on? They survive. You hear me? And that's important. So not only just reconnecting to the heritage, like the example that I gave of the sand or the dirt, or honoring with altars or things like that, but what rituals do you all do? An easy one that we think about, which is funny because it's the holiday season coming up, Thanksgiving is coming up. What ancestral traditions do you do? Some of the food we eat are ancestral traditions and ritual. Honoring these things, honoring our ancestors, continuing those rituals is your gift. So stop looking at your foundation as something that you can't do, as being against God, as being against the Spirit, and try it. Because your gift resides, your blessing resides in honoring your heritage, who you are, where you came from, those came before you, and the rituals, the things that these people did to survive, to give you the opportunity to be here. The next one, which is spiritual difficulty for you, is rigid spiritual expectations. That's the one that these all connect. This is the same thing that has you from thinking that being fear of God is better than being loved of God. Those rigid spiritual expectations. When somebody uses something like an incense, rigid spiritual expectation, and your response is that's something of the devil. That is a rigid expectation. If you are one religion and you cannot deal with another religion, if you're a Christian, you can't deal with Muslims. You have rigid spiritual expectations, right? The thing that is going to give you freedom from those rigid expectations and allow you to experience life in all this fullness is having your own personal relationship with faith. What that means is fantastic. In a reading I was doing yesterday, I asked them the question that I asked you all, like, how do you honor your spirit, right? And then one of the things that I offered them is something that I offer you all. If you don't have an answer to that question, it's time for you to venture out. In a sense, and what I mean by that is it is time to see what other people are saying about the spirit. Because again, you don't have to become a Muslim to know what Muslims are saying about the spirit. You don't have to become a Buddhist to hear what Buddhists are saying about the spirit. You don't have to become a Christian to hear what Christians are saying about the spirit. What you can do is learn and eat the meat and spit out the bones. When you do that, you create a personal relationship with faith, which is what you're supposed to do. As a matter of fact, first thing you need to do is identify what your relationship with faith is, and identify if you need to build a new relationship with faith, right? And once you do that, you begin to take pieces of this, pieces of that, and create your own individual personal relationship, right? So when people tell you just believe, you don't have to just believe. Because in your personal relationship, I remember when I would go to church, people would tell me, just believe, just believe. And I always thought the God I know is a God of answers. He will give you answers. So for my personal belief, my personal relationship, I don't have to just believe. There are answers out there for me. I just have to look, right? So that is oh shoot. What is your personal relationship with God like? What is your personal relationship, not with God, but specifically with faith, that idea of faith? What is your personal relationship? How do you exhibit that? And are you living authentic to your ideas? Are you doing things to honor that personal relationship that you have with faith? Next one is silence around identity. Identity is your cultural identity, your orientation, and things of that nature, right? And it's funny around this because right now in the dynamic that we're living in, there is a lot of silence around identity. And one of the reasons why that winds up happening is because we've taken a space of some identities are more important than others. One way that we exhibit that we see this just in a larger cultural scheme, is even with our deportation practices. It's silence around the identity of those people. We don't really want to understand. We just know that we don't want to hear anything else. Silence around that. We don't want to talk about that. Sexuality is another one that can easily be cut out of conversations where we don't really discuss what that means to us. And ourselves, right? But your gift resides around open dialogue and getting people to explore their beliefs, right? So it's funny because as I read this, one thing that I stay away from is I suffer from that silence around identity, culture, orientation. I stay away from politics. I stay away from religion. I really do stay away from dating. I mention that the most, but I really do stay away from having heavy conversations on dating and all that stuff. But I say all this to recognize as we're going through this process, even for me, I recognize where I've been focusing on the burdens too much. And that is generally it. One of the reasons I don't say anything about it is because of the issues that come from speaking your mind, right? And I don't want to deal with that, which generally shows that I'm functioning in a space of curse. But one thing that I do understand is my blessing is creating open dialogue and exploration of beliefs, right? So in this here, right here with Soul Swami Live, we all come together, we have this connected blessing of open dialogue and exploration of beliefs. We come here to be able to experience open dialogue, whether we participate in it, hear me, or watch other people get on there and have open dialogue that allows them to explore their beliefs. So when we do energy readings, that's all that is open dialogue to allow you to explore your beliefs, right? So in saying that, that means we need to function in a space that allows us to be more confident to have discussions around culture, orientation, identity, and all of those things that allow us and others to be able to explore our beliefs, because we have that gift, because we are probably most best equipped to be able to navigate that question, but we keep functioning under silence. We give ourselves, again, those feelings, the stories we tell ourselves. We begin to tell ourselves stories that it is not our place, but it is. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't even recognize it, right? The next one is limiting beliefs. Again, we already talked about religious as far as limiting beliefs, but gender is a huge thing. What a real man is set up for limiting beliefs. What a real woman is a setup for limiting beliefs. Love wouldn't do that. Is a setup for limiting beliefs. Because just because you believe it, that doesn't mean that's the only way. I had a whole conversation about limiting beliefs and how people are finding this interesting way. I told a friend the other day, I'm never going to be in the space to tell another man what a man is. Because we all have the time and opportunity to create what that means to us. We don't allow somebody else to define us through their limiting beliefs. As a matter of fact, the example that I gave, I remember when it was wrong for men to wear pink shirts, and I started wearing pink shirts. The way people would look at me sometimes was based on their limiting beliefs. They thought a man should not be wearing pink shirts, but pink is just a color. Pink is for girls. It's made up. It is a limiting belief. But your gift is growth mindset and possibility thinking, right? So that is, that people can change, mold, shift, adjust, and be something new. You know that people can pass and be resurrected a brand new person. You have to unalive your old self to be born again in a new dynamic. That is a growth mindset. So you understand that even though you are here now, you have the tools to be here later, right? And the main tool that is going to allow you to do that is possibility thinking. As we've talked about before when we did the quantum shift, once you make a decision, you've collapsed all other possibilities, because we've learned a long time ago that the possibilities are endless. Although they're not probable, the possibilities are endless. So when you make a decision, you have collapsed all other potential possibilities, right? But your gift is to leave a little room for other possibilities, which allow you to change, adjust, or give space for people to be able to live authentic as themselves. Your gift, if you are tied so tightly to the religious, spiritual, the beliefs that you were taught, break away from those chains of bondage and move into your authentic self, a space of growth mindset and seeing the possibilities, specifically the potential in others. Wait a minute. I got something wrong. Nah, there we go. That's what we want to do. All right. The next one is what we're talking about now. The last one. All right. So it is our time. We generally stay on for an hour, and it's been like that. We only been able to cover one. We'll finish up the last one next week. But silence around abuse and trauma, and that's the one where, as a matter of fact, I sometimes we silence ourselves or we talk about that, and it's been coming up a lot in conversations or experiences I had. The way that I wind up really seeing silence around abuse and trauma was within families, right? So when we experience a family that did their best, we're inclined to be silent around abuse and trauma. We want to be like they did their best. So my opposing feelings, the hurt that I experienced, the trauma that I experienced, is not valid. So we silence around it. And the closest that we've gotten to be able to have discussions around our abuse and trauma is generally through jokes, which is funny, or the connectedness that everybody has through the physical trauma they experience through whoopings. I'll never forget, my mama always told me sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. But all that idea does is teach you that it's silence around your abuse. No, you don't got to laugh to keep from crying. You should cry and talk about why you crying. Don't laugh to keep yourself from crying. That is silence around your abuse and trauma. And the thing about you, your gift resides in open dialogue, being able to have those discussions, being able to be truthful with yourself, being able to know that they did their best. And in their best, they also did some things that I need to process, to acknowledge your feelings. That's open dialogue, being able to talk to someone, or even being in a space like this, coming on here and being able to talk to the world. Have anybody, like, when we've done those live energy readings, and we've had people come up here and share things that were amazing to us, right? That we never thought that someone else would share. We admire the courage. Even when I ask people to talk about, like, come on the show and do a live energy reading, the first thing that people do is go into that space of silence around their abuse and trauma. Their fears start coming on. What's going to come up? It is that silence around the abuse and trauma, but they do it so we can have that open dialogue. And one of the things that we do here, so one of the reasons I had to admit to everyone, I'm not perfect. I'm perfect in my imperfections. We are growing together. That is healing transparency. This whole show is about healing transparency. We talk about the things, how difficult it is. It's funny, I gave somebody suggestions on how they can heal themselves. And they said to me, you said that like it was easy. And I said to them, you notice I never used the word easy because healing transparency, I said it to somebody today. They literally, it was funny. They was like, I think I've been working on expressing my emotions and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah? Are you proud of that? And they didn't know how to receive it. Because they needed to be proud of that. That is healing transparency. We talked about how difficult it is and how continuous it is. But how rewarding it is as you peel away that scab. You sew up that wound. And now it is healed. The only thing left is the scar. It's not bleeding on everything that you do. It is us having discussions about the mistakes that we have made and how we intend not to make those mistakes anymore, or the grace we give ourselves when we do make those mistakes again. You remember the house of our Lord resides within. So when they say he's married to the backslider, that is you forgiving yourself for all the mistakes that you have made and will make in your future, right? That is healing transparency. That is sharing how the therapeutic experience was for you. Sharing how the books that you read that help you define your own individual relationship, right? It is the conversations that we have. As a matter of fact, it is the open dialogue that we have. Well, how do we want our rich life to look? How do we want our love life to look? And the transparency about that. The transparency of admitting the mistakes that we made, accepting the accountability for the choices, and being courageous enough and brave enough to share those with those who are on the same path, getting to the path, or a little bit down the path before us, right? Ahead of us, right? So, when it comes to that, you move from not being able to talk about your abuse and trauma to a space of freedom and healing that you get from releasing that energy through word, right? That is your gift. The more you talk about your experiences, the freer you get. The more you share your vulnerabilities and your mistakes, the more you help other people. That is your gift. Push that fear to the side and live in alignment with your true self. And be courageous to have that open dialogue and to create that healing. Transparency, family. All right. So, I think that's dead. All right, family. So, that is this week's episode. Again, we covered our come on down, buddy. Spiritual generational blessings. Your blessings are spiritual freedom and acceptance, not judgment and separation. We're moving from fear of to love-based faith and grace. We're not going to be afraid. We're going to move in love. Authentic spiritual expression. We are doing things that seem authentic to us. We are learning new ways to honor our spirit. We are listening and taking the advice and suggestions of others. I spiritually was that man. I was generally thinking about how my homeboy said he was able to. His family was doing a bonfire, and he gave a couple of people in his family a sheet of paper to write down on there, and what they wanted to release. They threw it in the fire. Fire ceremonies. Authentic spiritual reconnecting to your heritage and rituals. Find out what your family used to do. How did they get this far? Or whether these tonics that you make up come from. Are you still using them? Well, your family's growers and you're not growing now. Right? You want to think about what is your personal relationship outside of what religion told you. How do you honor your spirit outside of just your religion, right? Open dialogue and exploration of beliefs. You are powerful beyond you know it. To be able to create the middle ground around some of these ideas and conversations around culture and orientation. You create that safe space for people to have those discussions. You bring in the correct ideas to move people beyond their own selfish thoughts into the possibility that others see things differently. Your gift is not limiting beliefs being defined by what someone has told you, but it is a growth mindset and possibility thinking. You understand that what you are today is just today. It isn't what you were yesterday, and it won't be what you were tomorrow. And you apply that to people. You do see potential, and you don't think that that's a terrible thing. I can't move on potential. When you move authentic to yourself and you understand possibility thinking, you do move on potential because you trust your spirit to be able to guide you in the right direction, okay? Growth mindset and possibility thinking, open dialogue and healing transparency. Welcome to Soul Swami Live. It is a safe space for us to have that open dialogue and that healing transparency. That means when you find yourself in those spaces where you can lay your guards down, please do. And I say that specifically thinking about some of the Reiki sessions. People will come to me with Reiki with their guards up. They don't even recognize safe spaces where they can have those open dialogue and that healing transparency. And at some point they get there where they have real conversations. They acknowledge what their shortcomings. They acknowledge their great things, right? But they move into a space of open dialogue. If you're thinking about it, it's because your gift resides. If you think that I can't talk to nobody about that, the reason it's on your mind is because you're supposed to. Your gift is open dialogue and healing transparency. So family, I hope to see you here. What are we doing? Thursday? Well, Thursday we will continue. What is this? Thursday we will continue reading Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. Make sure I say it right this time. Last time I got somebody gave me a hard time about that. And if we don't catch you here Thursday as we continue reading Razorblade Tears, I hope to see you back here next Tuesday as we wrap up our discussion of finding the blessing with our mental generational curses, the thoughts and things that we block us mentally, right? I appreciate the time you share. I appreciate the time you spend. Much gratitude with the family. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I look forward to spending time with you later this week and next week. Peace, family. Let's do this instead. I don't want to play that music. We're going to play some soft music as we go out. All right, family. I appreciate you, and thanks again.